Alright, so I'm currently trying to platinum every single type of EA game that there is out there, and if I can't do it before the channel hits 1 million subscribers, then my punishment is I have to platinum Fortnite, one of the longest, hardest, and most grindy games of all time. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, in today's video, I got the platinum trophy on Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. This is obviously a sequel to the first Garden Warfare game, which you might have seen my video on a few weeks ago, but today I did platinum Garden Warfare 2, one of the best games I've ever played, and again, it is extremely nostalgic playing it now and not as a kid on my Xbox in my parents' living room. How the times have changed. Life was beautiful back then. Anyways, Garden Warfare 2 was a total of 52 trophies, including the Platinum Trophy. It took me exactly 28 hours to complete it, and it spanned across literally months of playing due to a certain trophy.
No, you're
But I also did have one trophy already starting off today from vanquishing the Z7 Imp back in the March of 2023. Why did I play this game 2 years ago for like 30 minutes? I have no idea at all. Maybe a chromosome got loose or something. But the trophy guide for this game only really contains 2 stages, that being the first one for the story trophies and the second one being everything else. Kind of a low effort summary, but it's fine because this game's trophies are not complicated whatsoever, being the reason the game is only a 3 out of 10 for difficulty. But start off today, I did just begin the story mode trophies, because why not? It's best to knock the single player out as fast as possible in a game like this where the online type plays the majority of the game. So the first trophy I would get only came a few minutes in. It was from entering the plant stat room as a zombie, which I didn't do on my own volition, by the way. It was the objective of the first real mission line from the zombie side of the campaign for Garden Warfare 2, and we entered the plants area and stole this secret door finder as they call it, which upon reaching it had us in the plant stat room and the trophy popped. I then kept on moving forward in the campaign, and the Garden Warfare 2 campaign functions in a very story moment mixed with other gameplay modes type cycle, where you will do something like steal a remote, for example, and then just have a lot of combat and differing versions of what this game's real multiplayer modes are actually like to play. Eventually, I ended up in a type of garden ops mode where you have to raise a garden or tombstone and then defend it from incoming attackers, which is a giant part of this game's trophy list. And I would actually get a trophy here from having a bot I put down get a kill called Hero to Zero. I then kept on playing this round of defense, and eventually the game sent a giant sunflower boss after us, which is probably the easiest boss to kill if I'm being honest out of the plant selection. But upon me killing it, that would end the round and we got sent back to the zombies base, also finishing off the first questline called Yuck, which got us that trophy as well. And my next 2 trophies were then both from more completion of the story questlines also. First called Warp Tour from completing the questline Steve Caption, which had us first find imps lost around the backyard, then use them to crash a party the plants were having. And then we just took some photos because every pretty girl like myself goes through her little photography phase. And finally, it just ended off with another tombstone defense section just like the previous questline did. Upon finishing that, the trophy then popped. Also, for some more lore on this game's story, which isn't really that in-depth, however, it's still much more than the first Garden Warfare game. Essentially, the goal for both the plant campaign and the zombie campaign is just to have us prove ourselves through little deeds for each zombie character, which gets us more progress towards earning this badge, respectively for both sides. Pretty simple. But anyways, the next questline was for a trophy called The Bean Situation from finishing the questline called, The Bean Situation. I love when trophies reflect exactly what you're supposed to do. Anyways, this one revolved around Super Brains this time, who is the zombie supervillain character and one of my favorites in Garden Warfare 2. And you actually start off doing that tombstone objective, however, which is sort of bland compared to the rest of the quest line, which then had us deliver a pizza actually in an effort of searching around to recruit all of the variants of Super Brains, being Toxic Brains first, then Electro Brains, and finally Cosmic Brains. Once we got everyone together, you then take a full-on attack at Super Bean, who is the plant's version of a superhero, although much more lame, I'm gonna be completely honest. But once you do defeat him, it then ends off the questline with us taking over for the time being and the trophy then pops. I then began the next story mission line, but I would actually not finish it right now, and I got a bit distracted by the other trophies in this game's list, which led me to sort of doing some random things, and I should also explain the main reason why I kind of f***ed up the order of trophies for this game. But there is one trophy called Really Epic from doing 10 epic daily quests, and these only appear usually once every 48 hours, which means it takes at least 2 to 3 weeks to get them all and complete them for the trophy. And obviously I post often, so I've been slowly picking away at that trophy for a while now to make this video today. But anyways, as I was saying, I began to just play other modes of this game to see what was alive, dead, and easy to get in 2025. And I got my first trophy here from actually loading up a second controller and having my alt account join me in my backyard battleground for a trophy called Playdate. And if you can't already tell, Garden Warfare 2 allows for a lot of split screen cheesing or boosting for a few trophies, which I didn't totally abuse like some other games I've played, but I did get like 3 or 4 easy trophies off the list right now. Another one being called Who Can You Trust from vanquishing a friend in their backyard. And I did this by just having my alt account account be host and then killing it easily for the trophy. And I also got another trophy which is easily done in a real game, but it's just from gesturing or emoting after getting a vanquish on a player called Prance vs Samba. I then logged off the good old alt account for good because I don't really need it for this game considering trophies count on AI players, unlike how Garden Warfare was pretty much solely on real players for most of the trophies. So I then went after a few random trophies in the second stage of this game's trophy list, which is basically what I'm doing now. Why do we even try to follow stages anymore? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
But the next one I got was called VIPs Only from playing a private match with custom rules. And this is very easily done by just starting a private match with altered settings and the trophy pops instantly as you load into it. I was also and have also been doing daily quests that I gathered, which upon completing more and more of them gives you a higher and higher XP boost, maxing out at 2 times, which is really the first thing you should do because having a double XP boost the entire time you play helps get levels for everyone and for trophies later on. But once you do reach that 2 times boost, it's also a trophy called The Boss is Watching, which popped right here. I then went after one of the hardest trophies in this list called Insanity, which is that trophy from completing an ops game on crazy difficulty just like in normal Garden Warfare. And I found Garden Warfare 2's Gardens and Graveyards op difficulty to be much more difficult than the first game. But I got a trophy during my Insanity run from swapping to another character, so here's that, called Skin Changer. And that's possible because in this version of Graveyard Ops, you can raise AI teammates, which as far as I know isn't a feature of Garden Warfare, at least when I played it. But anyways, during this Insanity run, I was also using the guide creator's suggested map and location for the tombstone, which I'm not sure if it's really the best of the best strategies in the game, but it did help me win on Insanity first try, so I can't complain. And I do also believe that it was a lot of beginner luck and bot abusing because I barely won this round, and I wouldn't be able to win it again afterwards on my own. However, I did make it, and my entire AI team did not join me at the finish line, unfortunately, but the trophy still pops regardless. However, after that though, due to me now having a maximum XP boost, I just began to do some story quests again since I got bored of doing random trophies. And I picked up with that quest line I left off on, which was related to the pirate zombie. And I was actually on the final part of it, just having me find some doubloons scattered around the backyard city. Once finding them all, it then ends and the trophy popped along with it called Got Golden. I then returned back to the ops game mode because there is still some more trophies on it from playing for 100 waves, for example, but I would end up getting a trophy called Star Crazy from spending my first star. And I did it back at the plant base once ending that ops round for some cleaning rubble. And again, unfortunately, I would end up finally spotting that trophy called Really Epic, which caused me to drop this game for quite some time. And I wouldn't get any new trophies on it for a 14-day spread of time. Now, I did still play the game during a 2-week hiatus, but just to see if I got new epic quests or not. However, when I did pick it up again, the boys X Morty and Gnex, who helped me out in my Garden Warfare video, decided to offer up their glorious assistance with the actual challenging trophies of this game, relating to the trophy called RGBY from vanquishing the Gnome King Gnomus. Now, this is gotten in the Infinity mode after beating the story, and both of them already did, so they just invited me to their game so I could play it with them. I also did get trophies before we even began that, by the way. First from vanquishing a plant as a goat, and then from completing 100 waves in ops. But that's besides the point because the Infinity mode trophies contain 5 total, and every major wave you pass throws in a new and harder boss to defeat, which is where the trophies come from. And the first one I got was from defeating the Blue Gnome King, who was named that because he is blue. And unfortunately, that is the cycle the bosses go through until Gnomus. You then fight the green one, and after a few more waves, the yellow one, and finally the red one. Which, fun fact, all the colors combined make up the trophy name RGBY, which is gotten from, as we all know, defeating Gnomus the Gnome King. And with 2 really good players like I had helping me, this was super easy to do. Although without assistance, I have heard from people that it's actually super hard, so make sure to try your best to get some friends if you go for this trophy. I also do believe that this is the mode a lot of people think makes the game's platinum unattainable in 2025, because the DLC for this game is no longer a thing. So just so we are clear, the platinum on Garden Warfare 2 is 100% doable in 2025 from scratch. Do not listen to people saying it's not. They are stupid. And please stop DMing me with this misinformation campaign, you liberal.
Oh my god!
I would then unfortunately take another hiatus from trophies until hopping on a few days ago and finally doing my 10th epic quest for that goddamn disgusting time-gated trophy. The worst kind of trophy in the game in my personal opinion. So now that that's finished with, I actually did pick up the game and platinum it from that point. First getting a trophy called Hawk Guy from earning an S rank in the Crazy Targets range, which FYI, this has no accuracy points or anything like that, purely a time-determined rating. Needing you to finish it in under 22 seconds for the trophy, which is done easily with a Sunflower because they have the most ammo per magazine, and you don't really have time to reload. But this trophy really is easy, and I got it right here. I then just promoted a character for the first time, which you need to do 5 times for a character, by the way, for one of the most grinded trophies in the list. But for now, once is all that is needed, and here's the trophy. So I then began the story again, and this time for real, and I would play it till getting every single trophy inside of the Garden Warfare 2 story. Beginning this time with the plants because I hadn't even scratched their side yet, and after doing some of the zombie story, it really does make the plants one seem kind of repetitive since the objectives are nearly identical, just with different characters because we are obviously plants this time. And the first trophy was again just from entering the zombie stat room, which is the same as the first zombie mission, but here's the trophy regardless. I would then go and complete 2 quest lines, that being the Bomb Tombs quest line and the Zero Back 30 quest line. Now, I'm not going to go in and talk about these because, as I said, the plant story and zombie story mirror each other, and seeing as I already did explain the zombie line, it's just going to get repetitive. But I got a trophy after those called Lawn Care from customizing my backyard with an epic item, which is not story if you couldn't tell, but I actually did it on total accident, and I just cleaned this rebel of an epic customization point, which popped the trophy instantly, so that's definitely something. Anyways, and then just finished off the plant storyline, ultimately reaching the Infinity game mode unlock. And if you just enter the Infinity mode, which is what I just talked about in those Gnome King trophies, but this time you have to die and it will give you the trophy West Indian Lilac from entering Infinity as a plant. I'm also not sure why you need to die for that trophy to pop, but hey, don't ask questions. Garden Warfare 2 is the GOAT. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And I will then actually finish the final zombie questline also, which in turn unlocked Infinity on the zombie side as well. And if you do the exact same thing as we did with the plants, it will unlock the Enter Infinity as a zombie trophy, just like you would expect. So now that the story trophies are finished, I began to chase down the stage 2 random trophies and platinum trophy. First starting off with trying to get a super boss wave in the ops mode, because I needed to defeat 3 of them for a trophy and I only had 2 done so far. So as you would expect, I just played ops on easy difficulty until getting a super boss wave and beating it. Now these only show up on waves 5 and 10, by the way, if you don't know, so it does take a bit of time and some RNG to get one. However, on easy it should be no problem defeating the wave once you get it, and here's that trophy as I did. I then started a new combat mode that Garden Warfare 2 has, which 1 doesn't, and that's the Capture the Flag mode within the Backyard Battleground home base area. You have to raise the flag between the zombies and plants and make it through a ton of waves until winning the boss wave for the trophy called It's My Island. And after you do get the trophy and the boss wave is over, it begins the Infinity mode, which has basically just an endless boss wave start. And this Capture the Flag thing is actually the best quote-unquote mode to grind kills for the 2 5,000 vanquishes on plants and zombies trophies we need to get for the platinum. And before I did begin to grind those out, however, I just went around and got some more random trophies, getting my next one called What's the Catch from training with the mysterious fish, who was literally just a fish sitting outside the shooting range in the sewers, and you have to give it stars in exchange for XP, which is quote-unquote training, and here's the trophy. I then opened up numerous card packs until getting a weapon skin to use on a zombie's weapon for the trophy called Always Improvising. Very simple, just get the skin and put it on a gun, easy pop. The next 2 trophies I got, however, were not easy, and huge thanks to the video guide I followed on them from this dude regarding the Gnome collectibles in Garden Warfare 2, which are annoying, obviously, because collectibles always are. But I do have to say, it is cool they have collectibles across the home base and also into multiplayer maps and game modes. Not many games do that, and it worked perfectly in this one, which is kind of awesome to see. However, in regards to the collectibles, there also is only 1 trophy, and it's just from getting all of the gnomes, which took me a few hours, and here it is summed up in 30 seconds. You're welcome. But then once you do have them all, you can go down into the sewers to the Chamber of Gnomes, and it will be open for us to enter, which is also a trophy pop from doing that. I then began to grind out some combat trophies after, because this game, much like the first one, has a multitude of those. First called Goat Meal from swallowing a goat as a chomper. And this is kind of hard, but if you play a private match of multiplayer and make the teams be rose plants and yourself versus only classic zombies, it makes it super easy to get. And this is because due to your team having only rose AI, they will constantly turn zombies to goats, giving opportunities for us to swallow, and remember, don't spit. I then grinded after the trophy called Aw Shucks from getting 25 kills with the Shuck Shot, which is just one of the abilities the Corrin character has. But I just farmed this in the Capture the Flag mode of Backyard Battleground, which is where I would also reside for pretty much the rest of the trophies in this game, because almost all of them can be entirely farmed right here and in the fastest way possible due to the sheer amount of enemies that swarm you. Anyways, with that said, I then used the Rose and Goatified 100 zombies, which was very easy if you farm them up like we were playing COD Zombies. I then got the Pirate character's trophy called My Place or Yours from vanquishing 25 plants with the Scurvy Scatter Shot and 25 plants with the Spyglass Shot, which are just the respectable options of his guns firing. I would then get the Super Brains trophy from 25 kills with the Heroic Fist and 25 kills with Heroic Beam, which is again the same kind of trophy as all of these, to be honest. And my final combat trophy on a multitude of enemies was called Stomp the Yard from vanquishing 50 plants with the Z-Mex Rebel Stomp, using that same method as those previous trophies, and here it is easily. But now I have one more character specific trophy left, and it's called Just Peachy from stunning 50 Z-Mex using the Citron's EMP Peach move. And this sounds like a super grindy trophy, but you can actually just play the first Citron story quest over and over, which has us face a Z-Mech at the end, and just spam this stun move on the mech until it dies, then redo the quest and redo the cycle. It took me almost an hour to get 50 stuns, so it does take a while to do still, but it's far faster than doing it in a real game, obviously. And here's that trophy when it did pop. So my final 3 trophies are now from promoting a character 5 times, which is the maximum, and then getting 5,000 zombie vanquishes and 5,000 plant vanquishes, both of which took me about 3 to 4 hours of pure grinding kills in the fastest mode, which is the flag, as I have mentioned numerous times. But obviously I promoted a character 5 times first, and I actually didn't farm XP at that flag mode because it lowers the rate due to how many enemies rush at you. So I actually just farmed more of those ops rounds with the Electro LP, who was my chosen one for the 5 promotions. It took a few hours to get him up there, but it wasn't that bad with the double XP boost, and here's that trophy once I did promote him to max level. So now it's time to just strap in and play this damn flag mode for hours. Literally, like 8 hours straight of just rounds over and over and over. I got very bored, I'm not gonna lie. But I did get 5,000 vanquishes on both, with zombies coming first, and then plants multiple hours later, with the Platinum Trophy on Garden Warfare 2 popping after. So that was the Garden Warfare 2 Platinum Trophy experience. Absolutely amazing game. I have great memories with this game, and it's so nostalgic playing it again for the Platinum, just like how Garden Warfare was. And it's kind of an odd feeling to think that this game is now almost a decade old. God, we're getting old, aren't we?